gasoline smell? A whole hill. Smelled like... victory.
What's up, everybody? Hopefully you can all hear me and see me okay. Welcome to another Napalm and OJ What I Watched live stream, where I go over everything that I watched from TV shows to movies over the past month for May 2026. Thank you for being here. Shout out to, we got Dan and Ben already in the chat. Shout out. Let me know if you can hear me good, guys. It looks like everything's running smoothly. All right, so if for you guys in the live chat, be sure, because some of these I'll go through faster than others depending on how much discussion we have for each movie. Make sure when you comment about something I've said about a movie, or you comment about something about the movie, make sure to include what movie you're referencing, so that if I'm already past it, because there is sometimes a delay as well on the live feed, that way me and everyone else will know exactly what movie you're referencing and all that. And yeah, this was like the month of Dario Argento, however you say his name. I made a point to dive deep into his filmography, kind of randomly. I started out of chronological order, then went into chronological order, and then went back out of chronological order. I just went all over the place with Argento, depending on what movies I had already owned but had been waiting to watch, like Opera that I've owned on Blu-ray for about a year and finally got around to it. And I still haven't been able to track down Four Flies on Velvet or whatever it's called. So if anyone knows where I can watch that without having to spend a fortune tracking it down, let me know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having a discussion about all these different movies, new releases, old releases, Argento, non-Argento, with you guys. Yeah, Four Flies on Grey Velvet, that's what it's called. But just at the top, I'll say I had a lot of fun. The movies that I would say go out and see, if you haven't already, are Obsession, which is probably still in theaters if you haven't seen it already. And you also got to go see Backrooms. That was the other movie that really impressed me this month. So go check those out. We will be having discussion about those momentarily. So hang in there. I'll get to it eventually. If you're watching this after the fact, I will have a list in the description of all the movies I cover, so that way you can know what to look forward to and maybe skip around to if you're just looking for my thoughts on that movie. Damn, okay, I think we're done with all the housekeeping at this point. Again, thank you guys for being here. And let's get started with my first watch of the month. I ended last month off with Inferno by Dario Argento, the sequel sort of in the trilogy after Suspiria. And this month I started off with Deep Red. First movie I watched this month after watching Inferno for the first time. I had never seen Deep Red either. I'd never seen any Argento except for Suspiria previously. So these are all first watches when it comes to Argento. I have to say, I was kind of disappointed. This movie, again, I'm still warming up to Argento overall. But I expected this little guy, this chipmunk sort of doll thing, to be a major plot point. It's not. I expected the doll that's on the cover to be a major plot point. It's not. And for people to say this is one of Argento's best movies, having not even seen the rest of his movies, I was already like, man, is this the best this guy's got? Maybe I'm not going to enjoy Argento as much as I thought. What's up, JD? How you doing? Wish I could watch this live, but my ex's cat died. Oh man, and she's losing it right now. Oh dude, my condolences. That sucks, man. Yeah, take care of business. Take care of that situation, man. I'm sorry to hear that. Dan says I'm a broken record on early Argento. It's all amazing. I will say, even though I'm sounding negative right off the bat for Deep Red, I do not think in any way it's a bad movie. I don't think any of Argento's movies that I've, out of the like five or so I've seen now, I don't think any of them are bad. But the other main thing is that, without spoiling it completely, there's a part in early on in the movie that has to do with something he sees in the mirror that gives away the killer right off the bat. And listening to reviews and podcasts on the movie after the fact, apparently you weren't supposed to really catch it, but it was to me pretty obvious. This isn't the exact shot because the actual shot would spoil it, but literally you could see the killer in this mirror, and it's obvious it's not a part of the painting, but the main character thinks it is within the movie. And this whole time he's trying to like, because I guess somebody moved the painting or moved the mirror when he goes back to the location, and he's not able to figure out or remember what he saw in the mirror, because what he actually saw was the killer. So I don't know. From the very beginning, like, I was like, okay, I don't know who that was in the mirror. You know, it didn't immediately alert me that, like, okay, that has to be the killer, but it was kind of weird. And then when it turns out to be the killer, I was kind of like, well, I feel like Argento kind of fucked up here. Like, why would you reveal the killer within the first, like, 20 minutes of the movie? I don't know. It just seemed weird. There's long stretches where because the whole movie, it's a giallo, so I love giallos, but, you know, he's basically, this guy, the main character, is investigating. He's not even a cop, he's just a normal person investigating this murder that he witnessed, because the cops don't seem to, I guess, be doing that great of a job. He spends like 20 minutes of the film going through this like old abandoned house, chipping away at the walls and shit to reveal some paintings on the walls that do tie into the plot, but it felt like there were a lot of sort of like, man, can we just cut to the chase? Like, he's spending way too long on certain things that I don't feel like we need to spend this long on. And overall, after watching more Argento, I don't think this is one of my favorites. This is like at the bottom of my list from everything I've seen so far. Still a fun movie. Still interesting. But yeah, I don't understand the whole revealing the killer early on in the mirror thing. I don't know how anyone would not notice that. And apparently nobody did, but I don't understand that. But we can move on now. I think you might be partial to more supernatural stuff from Dario. I do agree with you. Even though I love a good, like, murder mystery whodunit, and that's what the giallo genre is based on, basically. I do say I think I like the more supernatural stuff a little more. JD says Phenomena is great. That's the next one I'll be watching. That or the Blue Velvet. Or Gray Velvet, whatever it's called. Now that Ben hooked me up. Have you seen Cat of Nine Tails? Yes, we will get there. I've seen Bird with the Crystal Plumage as well. So we will get there. And again, not all these are Argento that I watched this month, but, you know, I'm just covering everything that I did watch. Moving on to Mortal Kombat 2. That just came out at the theater. I got to see it in the Dolby Theater, which was cool. I really loved this movie, man. And I have no attachment to the Mortal Kombat lore, characters, games, overall story, or the old movies even. I think I've only seen the 1990 whatever first movie, and I don't know any of these characters. So I don't know if that makes a difference. I feel like if you do know that stuff and you are attached to it, you would just love it even more. But for me, this movie was fucking awesome. Like it's exactly the kind of like over the top, bloody, crazy kills that Mortal Kombat's known for, all wrapped up into a nice, neat package. You know, the story is pretty basic, but I feel like it should be. Like, I really don't feel like we need more than what they gave us as far as backstory or any of that shit. I mean, it is a sequel, loosely. I don't really know how it ties into the first one, because the first one I hated, the one that came out a few years ago. Maybe not hated, but I didn't really like it that much. So, I don't know, but I loved this one. It really gave us like nonstop action. Johnny Cage was great. This guy was great. The teeth guy. Again, I don't know any of their names or any of the lore behind any of these people, but this guy was fucking awesome. Kane, whatever the hell his name is, the big bad guy. He was awesome. Like, I really, especially being in the Dolby Theater, when he would like come on screen, like dragging his hammer thing behind him and it's scraping on the concrete, you could like feel it rumbling, and it was so cool. Yeah, Shao Kahn. I think you're right. I went to see this twice, so I'm only going to cover it here once. I don't think I need to say any more for the rewatch, but I went back the next day and saw it again. That's how much I liked it. And that surprised the hell out of me. Yeah, you guys are right. Shao Kahn. I did not expect to like this movie as much as I did. Again, it's not like a very deep movie, but it might crack my top 10 of the year. I'll just say that. Dan asks, have you watched Giallo in Venice? It's not a Dario flick, but it's sleazy and fun as hell, and you'd have a blast with it. I have not, so I'll need to check that out. But over the past year or two, I have found, as most of you know, because I talk about it a lot, I have found a deep love for the Giallo genre that I didn't even know existed until a few years ago. And I have since collected all of the Vinegar Syndrome Forgotten Gialli sets, even though I haven't watched probably a little over half of them yet. So as soon as I get done with Argento, and you know, I might not wait till I get done with Argento, but I'm going to start mixing in movies from those sets into my rotation as well, and I'm looking forward to that. Because like I said, I love slasher movies, and if I wish someone had told me sooner that there is an entire genre called Giallo that is literally just murder, mystery, slasher movies, essentially. Detective movies, whodunit movies. Because that's like everything that I love. I love brutal kills, I love horror, I love detective movies, and I love a good like killer reveal. And that's what the genre is based off of, or the subgenre, as far as I know. I'm not an expert, so maybe I'm getting some of that wrong. Maybe I'm not doing a good job of explaining what the subgenre of Giallo is, but to my knowledge, that's what it's based on. I want to know what you guys thought of Mortal Kombat 2, though, because I want to know if anyone else feels the same way. Like, people that, especially that know more about Mortal Kombat than I do. What did you think about Mortal Kombat 2? Because I loved every minute of it. I definitely want to buy this when it comes out. But moving on to another, I think Giallo. I don't know. That's some of these movies to me seem like Giallo, but they're not. But opera. Wait, why did I just type in Giallo? That's hilarious. Opera. So I think this, outside of Suspiria, I think Opera is my favorite Argento movie so far. And Dan for Mortal Kombat says way better than the last one. Yeah, like I think it means something when they kill off the new and main character from the previous movie within like 20 minutes of the first or the second movie. Whatever that guy's name was, Jay or something, or what was his name? I can't remember, but whoever it was, I don't know. But anyway, opera. 1987. The imagery. So I've seen this poster everywhere. I have to say, one of the best posters I think of all time, in my opinion. This movie is awesome. I don't know what else to say. I love the eye thing. The killer like ties her up and puts the tape with the needles on her eyes so that, if she closes her eyes and it like bleeds and keeps her motivated to keep her eyes open. Not really practical. I don't think that would work as well as it does in the movie, but still it's such a cool image. And with a lot of Argento, I think it's more about the cool ass imagery than it is the plot necessarily. But God, this movie had some brutal kills too. All the opera stuff was really cool. All the bird stuff with the ravens was awesome. Man, when her boyfriend gets killed, oh, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but man. The only thing I really have a problem with is the ending when she's out in the woods and she all of a sudden, I don't want to spoil it, but I don't know. It's almost like they try to shoehorn a last minute message that only pops up within the last 10 minutes of the movie, which was odd. But still, everything up to that, I would give an A+, so I can't really complain too much, but yeah, all of a sudden she decides that she wants to be one with nature, and it was just kind of out of place, but whatever. After everything she went through, I totally get it. I'd probably want to dip out and go on a little camping trip myself, so yeah. Dan says, some call opera his last masterpiece. I don't know if I'd call it his last masterpiece, but I still got a lot to watch. But I definitely think it could be considered a masterpiece. And it's so crazy that it kind of did. What I'm learning about a lot of these Argento movies in particular is that they kind of did the Scream 6 thing with the fake out, with the killer faking death. Like, Argento did that several times, or at least a couple times before that. And I'm sure many other movies did too, but Opera is one of the first movies outside of Scream 6 that I had really seen have a killer death fake out like that. Until we get to Trauma, which I'll talk about at the end, because I just got done watching that. I think that's the last movie on my list. Really great movie. Ben says, I'm a fan of MK2. There were a lot of surprises, and the battles were cool. I still don't know why they make Sub-Zero so OP, where it took like 4 people to beat him, but only one to best Shao Kahn. I do agree with you, but technically it wasn't Sub-Zero. Wasn't it like some other guy? Like, so Sub-Zero was like resurrected, not to spoil everything, but I think like whatever they did to resurrect him and gave him a new name or whatever, he's like a shadow being or something. I don't know. I did a little research on it because I was curious, but I think he's more powerful now. So I think it makes more sense in this movie that he was OP, but I do agree. Shao Kahn, even though we kind of needed for the story beat for the Feyan lady to kill him, because that's like his adopted daughter. Well, more like kidnapped and enslaved daughter, but I don't know. It was kind of, yeah. They should have. I don't know. He was pretty tough up until then, and then all of a sudden she waves her little fan in front of him, and he's dead. So there's a little more than that, but I know what you mean, and I agree. Dan says Stendhal syndrome. I think you'll love. You will also love. Hell yeah, man! I'm planning, like I said, on going through all of Argento's movies. Just so far, I've just been grabbing on to whatever's easy to reach, whatever's streaming, or whichever. A few of these I had already owned, like Opera. So I was just hopefully hopefully that one I can track down as well. All right, so Opera, in my book, definitely a masterpiece. I love it way more than Deep Red. I know that's a controversial opinion, but hey, these are all just my opinions. All right, so after Opera, before Tenebre, so we're getting to Tenebre, don't worry, that I watched Obsession. And I really liked this movie. I will say, this is one of those movies where I wouldn't change a thing. I think, like, everything about it was great. But for some reason, I didn't love it as much as everyone else. And I really don't know how to explain it. Because usually if I don't love something as much as everyone else that's getting universal acclaim, I have reasons for it, but I really don't have any reasons. I don't know why this is coming up. I love the guy Curry Barker who directed it. I've been a fan of his comedy for a while on YouTube. Curry Barker, did I say Baker? I don't know what I said. Curry Barker. I'm a big fan of his, even though I haven't watched The Chair yet, which is like his 30-minute short film, or Milk and Cereal, which I've heard is also really good, that I think you can still watch on YouTube, I believe. Would you have kept playing along with the girl? I don't know, man, because I don't think he had bad this guy, I don't think he had bad intentions when he made the wish. I think, there's a lot of people out there that would probably in his shoes make the same wish. But once it became clear that the real her is like still trapped inside her body, almost being held captive against her will to this other almost like demon possessed body in a way, it almost does make him the bad guy. Even though I don't think he had bad intentions going into it, it really is kind of fucked up. But that's what I like about the movie, is that it kind of makes us as the audience grapple with that. Like, is he the bad guy? And it's hard to really root for or against him at times. But yeah, towards the end, it really is kind of like, I don't know. He is kind of the bad guy, even though he kind of wants to reverse it and, help her a little bit. But I don't know if he does enough, though. I don't know. But it was definitely overall a very unique take on the classic love potion sort of scenario. But so ultimately, I would not. I think I would have tried to reverse the wish and help her out a lot sooner. At least I like to think I would, than he did. Cause yeah, he really is kind of the bad guy at a certain point. But yeah, there's a point where he knows and he keeps on. Yeah, exactly. Dan says, I argue he never realistically expected the wish to come true. I know, I agree. I don't think any of it, like, if this really happened in real life, which, obviously we wouldn't expect it to actually come true either. So I don't think, again, the guy came from a negative place initially. Even if he like he knew the wish was going to come true, I don't think he came from a negative place. It's one of those things where until I watched the movie, I never really thought about that side of it. That by wishing her, I think his exact words were to be crazy about him. I don't think even in that moment within the movie, I thought to myself, like, yeah, but that means that she's still like the old her is still going to be in there, or that this is kind of like the ultimate sort of manipulation in a way. I don't know. But that's what the movie does great. Ben says, and he just like, can I adjust? He's just like, can I adjust the wish to the guy on the phone? Yeah. Yeah, he didn't think the wish would come true until a certain point. Barker said the wish doesn't have to have had a bad side. He just made a bad wish. Yeah, and he worded it poorly. Because again, I'm pretty sure his literal words were like "make her crazy about me," right? And then she literally does go crazy for him. Um, but yeah, it took him a while to try the stick again. Obviously, he learns you can't make multiple wishes, but he took a while to give it a shot to help her out and reverse the wish. You know what I mean? Barker basically said if he worded it right, it would have been fine. Not really monkey paw type. What was the exact wish again? I mean, I think it was, again, just that she would go crazy about him. Make her love me more than anything in the world. Oh, was that the literal words? I don't know. Maybe that is all he said. I don't really remember. I thought he used the word crazy. Maybe not. But all right, let's move on to Tenebre, another Dario Argento movie. What is this? It's like a live reaction or reenactment of Tenebre. Oh. Anyway, another Dario Argento movie from 1982. And yeah, I liked this movie, but again, this is touted as one of Argento's best. And I don't know, it was good, but again, I don't know if it was as good as everyone says it is to me. There's a lot of things that just didn't add up, didn't make sense. Just a lot of, I don't know, almost plot holes, I guess. I don't know. But I don't know why this is a classic, to be honest. I mean, it's still better than 90% of what we get today, so maybe that's why it's a classic, I guess. But there's this weird stuff with, like, whatever the hell this was that gets pretty graphic, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. That I don't want to spoil too much, but I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff going on, but I didn't get bored. But there were a couple times where I almost didn't understand because there's a few chicks, a few women in this movie that looked the same or looked similar, and I didn't know who was who or what was happening to who during certain parts. I almost feel like I kind of got lost a couple times. Like, who the hell is this? Like, I don't even remember who the hell this is. I don't know. The ending was great, though. I will admit, the ending was awesome. And I really like how. I don't want to, again, I don't want to spoil it. I mean, most of you have probably seen it already, but they do a little bait and switch sort of thing where, like, there might be more than one killer, there might not be. I'm not going to spoil it, but that part I thought was great. And I didn't expect that. This is one of the movies where the ending and the reveal kind of did shock me a little bit. So I guess, yeah, no, I take back what I said. I get why this is a classic, actually. Because it takes a lot for a movie like this with a big reveal to actually do it successfully. So, yeah. All right, moving on to the newest Guy Ritchie movie, In the Gray. No, not that movie. I love Guy Ritchie, but he's been on a little bit of a sort of cold streak a little bit. I don't know. Ungentlemanly Warfare, mouthful of a title. I thought was like better than this. And this I thought was like okay, but just like kind of average. It's a fun one. Dan says he didn't make it out to In the Gray. It's one of those movies that is never gonna make a top 10 list. At least hopefully not. I feel like if this makes your top 10 list, you haven't been watching near enough movies at the theater or new releases, but for what it is, it's has some cool action. But it's almost a movie with very little conflict. It's like most of the movie is about these guys who are security for this rich and powerful lady, and they're trying to get her a safe extract away from this crime boss guy, sort of. And most of the movie is them talking about how they're going to extract her while simultaneously showing you, because they have to practice it several times. So it's almost like we get to see every stunt executed twice, which is kind of cool, but also like, what is this movie even about? Because we're just literally doing the same shit over and over. But yeah, the gentleman is fucking awesome. I love the gentleman. But the gentleman's also a movie that I thought was kind of average when I first saw it, but then on subsequent rewatches has really grown on me. I think in the gentleman's case, it's because there's a lot of plot, a lot of characters. There's a lot to grasp onto. And for me, it took a couple watches to fully grasp everything that was going on in The Gentleman and how it was all connected. But ultimately, The Gentleman is a masterpiece. I agree. But hey, In the Gray, if you want to watch Henry Cavill and Jake Gyllenhaal do a bunch of cool stunts and shit, check it out. You know, I will say, out of all the movies I watched this month, and I know I sound very nerdy anytime I say this, but the cinematography, the lighting, and the set design in this movie were above top notch. I know that may not make sense to people that aren't like really into filmmaking or the filmmaking side of things, but there were some sets and the way the lighting and the way everything was shot in certain scenes that blew me away as somebody who is sort of an active cinematographer. I'm still trying to, work my way up within the industry, but I spend a lot of time studying cinematography, camera movement, angles, and lighting, and this movie blew me away from that aspect. So, if you want a master class on how a scene should look lighting wise, anything that's indoors in this movie is amazing, amazingly shot. So, yeah. Again, not to get too nerdy with it, but yeah. All right, what's next? You were just mentioning this, Dan. The Bird with the Crystal Plumage by Dario Argento. This is his very first movie that he directed. And honestly, I don't know why more people, maybe they do talk about this, but seems like anytime I've heard people talk about Argento, they're always talking about Suspiria, Tenebre, or Deep Red. But this movie beats the shit out of Deep Red. Um, I think I like it more than Tenebre even. Like this, for a first movie, this is like Ari Aster level, first movie level shit. Like, it's a murder mystery giallo movie. And I don't know, I really felt invested in these people. I think his name is Sam. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Can't remember, but this guy in particular, like I really felt invested in his journey, his story, trying to figure out who's doing all these murders, and the whole time he like feels like he's forgetting a certain detail of something that he saw. And I thought the way that Argento executed that idea of that little detail that could have kind of cracked the case wide open, he like couldn't remember. And even though we as the audience saw what happened as well, it was right there in front of us too. But I don't this is one of those situations, unlike Deep Red, where what was really going on I didn't even notice, even though it was right in front of me the whole time. And most of the movie is about it being right in front of the main character the whole time, but he can't, for whatever reason, put it all together from his memory. And I thought that it was brilliant the way that they did that. Dan says Bird really changed everything and made Dario, and I can see why. Um, I think um, I think this is one of his best movies. Yeah, and I really enjoyed it. And also a movie where there's sort of like a double killer reveal, but I thought this was way more well executed than really any other like modern movie that tries to do the same thing. It really surprised me, the ending, and a lot of that ties into the whole memory thing and how this is a movie where if you rewatch it, there's a lot of value on a rewatch because of things you didn't notice that were right there the whole time, like I mentioned. Um, yeah, I really love this movie. It came out in 1970. Again, Dario Argento's first movie. So moving on to Passenger, new movie that I saw at the theater this month. Man, the trailer looked so good. And the trailer is basically the whole opening of this movie. And isolated, I think the intro to this movie is great. It's almost like a perfect little short film in a way. Unfortunately, the rest of the movie follows completely different characters that I didn't give a shit about. The creature monster thing and the whole lore behind him, I didn't really give a shit about either. There were some horrible CGI moments at the end of the movie that made me roll my eyes. They were trying to shoehorn a bunch of religious shit in there that I can't tell if they were pro or religion the entire time. I still don't really understand what they were going for, and I don't know what the hell this is. This isn't anything to do with the movie. I've seen a lot of even this. Like this isn't even like this happens, but it's at nighttime. So I don't know where people are getting these images that aren't even in the movie, and why they're showing up on Google. Because like I don't know what this is, but this has nothing to do with anything related to this movie. That's it. I don't really have anything else to say about this. Um, Meh, Passengers was forgettable, says Dan. Ben says, dude, I've scheduled and canceled seeing Passengers like 4 times. Every time, I'm just like, I don't feel like it. You're really, as Dan said, you're really not missing much. Um, Hearing bad stuff about it doesn't help. Yeah, I really thought this was going to be great, and it was a very big disappointment. Unfortunately, it would have been creepier if the passenger wasn't wearing pants. I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, I guess that would be a little more creepy. But yeah, you're not missing anything, Ben. All right, moving on. Then I watched Corporate Retreat, which is basically Skill House from was it last year already? It's basically a movie that this never happens in the movie. I don't know. Oh yeah, I forgot to type in movie. I was like, where are these images from? Okay, Corporate Retreat. This was better than Passenger. You know, I went to the theater to see this the day after Passenger. Um, but overall, this movie didn't do anything for me either, unfortunately. Yeah. Hello. Is that is that you, Drew? How you doing, man? Good to see you. Um, we're talking Argento. I'm pretty sure you're a fan of Argento. I'm remaking it with Cool Dude as the passenger. Okay. Corporate Retreat wasn't good, but man, the eyeball trauma was nasty. That is true. That was that was kind of worth the price of admission right there. But yeah, it's just kind of your basic, like, we've seen this plot a million times. You know, people go on a sort of retreat as a team or a group or a company or whatever, and they get trapped within the retreat and forced to do crazy weird stuff. It was almost like Saw without the jigsaw part of it, without the creepiness, and without being scary at all. It's basically just this pussy ass dude on a TV screen telling them to, you know, poke themselves with needles and stuff. And if they don't do it, they're going to get shot in the face, which honestly would be a lot better of an ending than going through some of the things that they're forced to go through. But yeah, don't really have much positive to say about it outside of that. Um, Drew says, and kinda, I like Suspiria, Tenebre, Mother of Tears, everything else I've seen is a slog. Oh. I get how Alan Ruck got two hot babes to do his bidding. What is that the leader guy of the whatever? Which I feel like they spoiled that over. Not that it. I don't know, the way it was structured again was kind of weird. Like, I feel like if he had had a mask on the whole time, it would have been more creepy. Hence the jigsaw reference I made earlier. But I don't know. Like, they didn't establish any kind of philosophy or anything he'd have used to brainwash them. Yeah, his two little minion ladies with the guns. Agreed. That's like the highlight of Brawl and Cell Block 99. Yeah. All right. So moving on. Another Dario Argento movie. I told you guys I was watching a bunch. This is the Cat O' Tails. Dude, this movie felt. What the fuck is this? Okay, the Cat O' Tails. There's a lot that I liked, but I had to. It was also so long, man. I don't know what it was, but this movie felt long as hell. And even though it's long as hell, there's so many characters that I feel like we don't really get to know very well. What's up, Jason Hetfield? How you doing? There's even scenes in this movie that I don't even really like when they break in. When he gets that one guy, Gigi or whatever his name is, to break into that guy's house and his safe. Um, did that even need to be in the movie? Like, I don't think so. I don't know. Brawl in Cell Block 99 is great. That scene where he was dragging the guy to the lunatic wing of the prison for was yeah. Cell Block. What's that guy's name? Craig Zoller. When is he gonna make a new movie? Buy one of the whips and make a T Rex. Make the T Rex a gimp. Um, did you ever watch the only good modern Giallo movie, Piercing? No, but I do remember you recommending that to me, and I'm gonna write that down to put at the top of my list again. I'm sure I say that every time, but that's why I appreciate you guys reminding me about the stuff I need to watch. Because I have been making a point to go through specifically Argento, but also trying to go through more Giallo movies in general. Because I do really love the genre. Um, Piercing is one I also recommend, says Dan. Hell yeah. All right, so after that, real quick, the killer reveal in this movie was dog shit. I just have to say that. Also, this lady, a wood plank, could do a better job of being a sexy whatever she was trying to be in the movie. Like her acting was horrible. Um, the way that she like tries to flirt with the guy just doesn't come through at all. I don't know. It was so weird. She plays such a weird character. I know she's only in there to be a red herring, but still. The blind guy was cool, and his little daughter, not even his daughter, sort of a weird relationship there. I don't really get it, but it was kind of interesting the way that she like helps him with some of the investigating and stuff. Um, Overall, again, not a bad movie compared to half the shit we get today. Still a good movie, but not as good as Bird with the Crystal Plumage. Not as good as really any of the other Argento movies I already talked about. But you don't love her hair, Hayden, dude. No, I don't know what it looks like. She's wearing a wig, but I'm not sure. I can't tell. Zapper wrote a Muppet Master reboot. What? Lopez, what's up? What's up? That comes out tomorrow, doesn't it? Scary movie. I don't know why apparently they're on the Showtime listings. They're just calling it Scary Movie instead of Scary Movie 6, which makes me sad. I don't know why they do that. Just put the number on there. It doesn't matter. Um. Oh man, that's disappointing to hear, Drew. Drew says, "I think I'm done wasting my time with Shallow. I tried the Red Queen kill 7 times last month, and I'm just too limited with my time to try liking these boring ass movies. Most of the ones I've seen I really liked, but again, some of them you really got to try to get through, like this one. The whole genealogy thing and Cat of Nine Tails, a lot of that I didn't understand what the hell was going on, and it was boring. But yeah, imagine the wind blowing through it and her lightly whipping your face in the morning with her crazy hair. I guess so. Oh, the Scary Movie is supposed to be a reboot. No thanks, man. I don't know why they would do that to me. Why not just call it what it is? Scary Movie 6, man. Alright, but anyway, moving on. I love boosters. I thought I was going to like this based on the trailer. And guess what? I really did like it. I thought this was a really fun, um, artistic, and creative movie that had a lot of laugh out loud moments. And it takes a lot for me to laugh out loud to comedy stuff, if I'm at the theater especially. There were a lot of really hilarious moments in this movie. It was giving me a lot of like what's it called? Zoolander? That's what the movie's called, right? I don't know why my brain's just like malfunctioning. The girl who plays Zola in that movie, beautiful. They're all beautiful. And this movie was just like hilarious. I don't know if it's like top 10 level of the year for me, but I think I might buy it. This is definitely like for $10 to $15, I'd buy it for sure. Demi Moore's in there, Lakeith Stanfield. I'm a big fan of Lakeith Stanfield. Anything he's in, it's gonna be decent because he's such a good actor. I haven't seen this director's previous work. Um, he did a movie called Sorry to Bother You or something, I believe. Haven't seen that. I think Lakeith is also in that, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. I'm not positive. Um, Hold on, let me catch up with the chat now. I feel like Jalo in general is pushing herself through to get to a good thing, and it's just never enough to win me over. Says Drew. But Edwig French boobs Drew? What? Who's Edwig? I was shocked how great I Love Boosters was. Hell yeah, Dan. Something about her face, Dan. Wait, who are you guys talking about? Cosplay Will Poulter's character for Halloween, Hayden. That'd be great, dude. I forgot to mention Will Poulter. His character is also really great. As like the gay, quirky manager of one of the stores for Demi Moore's fashion company within the movie. Um, is it Ozempic Demi Moore? I don't know. I mean, she looks the same as she always has. Looks the same as she did in The Substance. I don't think she's ever really been overweight, has she? If that's what you're implying, I'm not sure. I missed you talk about Obsession. I've been busy as fuck. Did it live up to the hype? Says Lopez. For me, I didn't love it as much as everyone else, but I still thought it was great. Obsession. I wouldn't change anything about it. That's the main thing I kind of harped on, is that I didn't love it as much as everyone else, but it was great. I'd watch it again if it goes to streaming, but I wasn't in love with it. Like, it's probably not going to make my top 10 of the year, unfortunately, but who knows? Ben says, sorry. Yeah, sorry to bother you is very strange. Should I watch it though? Like, I really want to after watching I Love Boosters. And this is totally a movie where you can watch the trailer and know if you're on board with this movie or not immediately. Like if you don't like the trailer, you're probably not going to like the movie. But if you're like me and you thought the trailer looked very intriguing, I think you'll like it. And yeah. Dressed like that and pretend to be the owner of random stores you go to. Um, the brick scene was supposed to be longer. The brick scene in this movie? Again, if you're just joining, whenever you because some of these I go through faster than others, make sure you label what movie you're referencing, just so I can understand what you're talking about. Um, oh, an obsession. Okay, the brick scene. I don't remember a brick scene. I have no clue. The brick scene. I don't know. Oh, the steering wheel scene. Well, that's not a brick, but I don't think that involves a brick. But that scene was great. That was definitely the highlight of the movie. It scared the shit out of me. Like I knew it was probably gonna happen. I was just waiting for it, and it still got me. But I'm very susceptible to jump scares. Dan says, "Sorry to bother you. I love even more." Okay, then I definitely need to watch that. Yeah, I'd say if you like boosters, you'd probably like Sorry. It feels the same universe. Both are weird, says Dan. Okay. More gore. Maybe we get a director's cut of Obsession. That'd be great. She rested a brick on the steering wheel. Oh, I didn't. I don't even know if I even caught that, Lopez. Hmm. But yeah, and I love boosters. That soul sucking scene with Lakeith Stanfield was fucking funniest thing I've seen in a long time. Oh my god. He'll suck the soul out of you. Yeah. You guys gotta see it. Such a great movie. Dude, I Love Boosters might be top 10 material for me. I don't know. We still got 6 months to go for the end of the year, but yeah, I guess I did miss that brick detail. I thought it was all steering wheel, but I guess not. I don't know. Drew, you didn't like it? Weak ass Terrifier gore, no substance. Ben says, I thought it was a Jenga piece of wood. Maybe it was. Maybe that's what it was. That would make sense to bring back the Jenga scene. All right, we're getting here towards the end. This is one of the newer releases that I really loved. The Backrooms. Now, I've seen clips of the Backrooms, but I haven't followed it religiously, or I've never watched like a full video from Kane Parsons and his backroom saga online or anything. But I kind of was familiar enough to know the gist of it, and I really love this movie. I thought it was borderline perfect the way they executed it. I thought the messaging about memory loops, trauma loops, and all of that sort of therapy sort of stuff was like really well done. Um, so yeah, that is to say that I thought the messaging and the themes within the movie were really well done. I thought the visuals of the Backrooms were really amazing. I thought the creatures were amazing, very trippy looking. The pirate guy, that part was crazy. Hopefully that's not spoiling too much. Um, and they gave us just enough without revealing too much that we didn't already assume about the Backrooms. They didn't reveal more than we needed to where there's plenty of room for a sequel to really dive in to the government involvement side of the Backrooms, because I I could see people maybe complaining that we didn't get enough of Mark Duplass and that sort of storyline, but I feel like there's plenty of time, plenty of room for that. I thought the pacing was great. I don't know. I thought everyone's performances were great. And I don't know. I feel like it's, am I jealous that a freaking 19-year-old kid directed a movie and he probably hasn't even been on like a film set period before? I mean, maybe he has. I don't know. But yeah, I'm jealous. But also, I think it's probably good for filmmaking to get some young voices in here. And, you know, I really think it's respectable that A24, I think a lot of it had to do with the rights to the Backrooms, that they kind of had to either buy out Kane Parsons or they had to involve him. And I think they made a good choice by choosing to involve the creator of the series. I know he's not the one that originated the entire Backroom story, but he's the one that created the bulk of the videos of what we know as the Backrooms. And so I applaud A24 for choosing to involve the guy rather than doing what I feel like most big studios would do and just buy the kid out, give him $2 million, $3 million, tell him to fuck off, and then hire, like, I don't know, Inuritu to make a movie about the Backrooms. You know what I mean? So yeah, hopefully we'll get a sequel. I assume we're going to get a sequel because I could not get a damn ticket to this movie. Thursday and Friday were like completely sold out, like nothing I've ever seen before. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, damn, did this many people know about the Backrooms to go see this? Like, I guess so. I think the younger generation, the Gen Z people, are really like into this stuff, this internet creepypasta stuff. So I guess that kind of explains it. But let's see what you guys have to think about Backrooms. Hold on, the chat's doing that thing where anytime someone new types something, it's like moving my cursor to the bottom. Hold on. I think Backrooms 2 is confirmed. Hell yeah. He's a liar. We all know Spielberg directed it. I mean, look, if something like that comes out, then I guess I'll have to eat my words. But, apparently the cinematographer, also a pretty young guy, it seems like, though. But I'm pretty sure he did work for Oz Perkins already. So he's pretty experienced. So yeah, like, as long as, if you're a first time director, but you have a really experienced team around you, it's possible, like here, to make a good movie. He said he did that first short at 16, and all his shorts were made on free software. Yeah, that is crazy. Blender, apparently. I guess I need to learn how to do Blender. Everything about this movie reminded me of Counter-Strike, and specifically Gary's Mod, if you guys remember that. It really felt like Gary's Mod. And the way people used to create YouTube videos within Gary's Mod and Counter-Strike maps and stuff. If you guys, half of you will probably know exactly what I'm talking about, and if you're younger than me, you probably have no clue. But a Gmod, baby. Kane just hunted for Pokemon the whole time. He said the most he made on a short was like $20. He had cast. He had cast at my Hungry screening today. Or wait, I had cast. Oh, cast from the movie Hungry, that hippo movie you were talking about. That's cool. Ben says, yeah, this is a weird one to blow up. It's not very linear. And then just the end just happens. Yeah, but I like that. Because I'm excited to see more. And I thought the length of it and the pacing was perfect. I heard he was mentioned or mentored by Osgood Perkins. Okay. Kane and Curry were sacrificed at Bohemian Grove and replaced by aging Hollywood directors. So that's where William Friedkin's been this whole time. After he passed away, they just put him in the body of Curry Barker, and that's okay. I get it. I love that, dude. They were sacrificed at Bohemian Grove. Oh, like Get Out. Yeah, like Get Out style. Don't want to be negative Nancy here, but seriously, horror is becoming a joke with movies like this. Sorry, not sorry. Well, damn, Drew. I mean, you're entitled to your own opinion, but I think there's been a lot of good stuff the past few years. As always, you got to go through a lot of bullshit and a lot of kind of bad movies to get to the good movies, but I think there's been a lot of good stuff out there and a lot of kind of unique younger people creating unique movies that I think is pretty cool personally. They draw sticks for the black avatars. It's honestly made me soured on the genre. Damn, that sucks to hear. Again, I hate to say it, but you got to watch more shitty movies to get to the good ones, I guess. Because I don't know. Maybe you're not going to the right movies. I don't know what to tell you. But again, you know, you said you didn't like this one, and I really liked it, so I don't think that's the problem, I guess. You never do DP first. Yeah, exactly, Dan. Yes, cast from the movie. They cheered when actors popped up on screen for this like low budget hippo movie. I've never even heard of that movie until you mentioned it to me today. That's hilarious though, but that must have been a cool environment. You know, with the filmmakers and actors there. You know, something to get excited about. Ben says, reminded me of Channel Zero, No End House. Apparently, I need to watch that show. I think it's on Shudder, right? I've heard that that's a pretty interesting show. And you're not the first person I've heard compare it to Channel Zero, the Backrooms, that is. Yeah, Polanski got into Kane so he can date high school chicks again. God. William Friedkin and Sydney Sweeney now. Is Sydney Sweeney now. The real one played the couch in Backrooms. It's Drew says it's one after another every year. Bring Her Back was mid as hell. What? I don't know. I don't know. Personally, I like the dark stuff, like Bring Her Back. And I don't think you can get more dark than that, man. But maybe that's not exactly the horror you're into. Come on now, you know better than to assume I would speak on something. No, I'm not saying you don't know about. But I'm just saying, I don't know how often you go to the movie theater, but, I go see everything that's horror that comes out, and I feel like there's been a lot of good stuff. Um, what are some of your favorites from the past year, Drew? When Evil Lurks is way better than Bring Her Back. Fair enough, I guess. When Evil Lurks 2 should be out soon. Is that for real, Dan? Dan makes sure I got all the movies. I got you. All right, let's move on to the next one. So I didn't know if I was even going to go see this, but I ended up seeing it anyway. And that's Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu. And I don't know what to say about this. I've only seen the first season of The Mandalorian, and I think it's a fun, at least the first season. I thought it was a fun enough TV show, but yeah, I can't pay Disney monthly for their service, so I stopped watching it after my subscription expired when the next season came out. But this movie was alright. I don't know. It's like, it's better than some of the like Force Awakens, like maybe not the Force Awakens specifically. I can't really remember, but a couple of the newer Star Wars stuff from that trilogy or whatever set of movies. I think it was all right compared to some of those. I've heard people compare this to John Wick, like the Star Wars version of John Wick, which is kind of accurate, but I kind of like that. Like, I think it's kind of cool that they're incorporating some more modern, stunt work and camera work along with the stunts, where we're getting a lot more like wide angles and where you get to see all the fighting and it's not all zoomed in up close for them to cheat around it and all that. So, I don't know. It was entertaining throughout. Yeah, that's about it. Don't have a lot to say about this one. As far as I know, you don't have to watch the all the seasons of The Mandalorian to enjoy this movie, because as I said, I haven't. So I don't know if any of these characters were like this guy. I don't know if he's like a bleed off from the show or anything. Maybe he is, but I don't think you really have to ever have watched any of The Mandalorian to understand or get something out of this movie, I guess. To be honest, I'd rather get this than that, when they're trying to tack on to the original trilogy with their own updated trilogy with, what was her name, like Ray or whatever. I hated all that stuff. I'd rather get stuff like this that's mostly meant for kids, but it's still a lot of fun action, and a lot of people die, dude. Like, they get away with it, I think, with it being, I think it's rated like PG-13 probably. I don't really know that for a fact, but I think they can get away with killing people because it's lasers, laser guns and shit. But yeah, it was fun. Drew says 2024. I really loved Smile 2. Dude, I love Smile 2 as well. Parker Finn does a great job making Normiecore horror fun. See, there's stuff you liked. The substance is good for sure, but I have to dock it for a flashback to an earlier scene. Does Grogu? No. Longlegs and Late Night with the Devil, both fun. Smile 2 was a pleasant surprise. See, Drew, I think you're contradicting yourself. Like, you just listed some good horror movies that you enjoyed, so. I mean, all I really need is a couple good horror movies a year, and that's what we've been getting the past few years. I don't know what more we could ask for, personally. You kind of have to expect 75% of what you go see at the theater to be shit. But, as long as we're still getting those 3 to 4 really good horror movies, like you just mentioned, like Smile 2, then I don't know what else we could ask for. But all I'm naming here are very simple movies with unoriginal plots. Well, you were just talking praise about them. I guess I don't understand. I guess I'm confused, Drew. Like, are you saying you did or didn't like the movies you just mentioned? I thought you were praising Smile 2 a second ago. I don't know what. I don't understand where this conversation is going. I watched Mando 2, and it just reminded me of a long episode. And that's a good way to sum it up. That's What's Her Name in Smile 2 was my vote for Best Actor in a Horror Movie that year. Oh, God, now I'm going blank on her name. I don't know. None of those movies are classics. Well, I mean, it's a modern movie. It can't be a classic until it's been out for, I think the definition is like 5 to 10 years. So, I don't know what you're expecting. I'm not trying to argue with you, but a movie that comes out within a year can't be a classic. 5 years from now, Smile 2 will most likely be a classic, if that's what you're trying to say. The problem is there's nothing outstanding in horror going on. Also, shout out to Trap. I've watched that. Like, dude, Trap was miserable, dude. Josh Hartnett was great in the movie, but man, I couldn't do the amount of false endings in that movie, and just Shyamalan way overdoing the twists and stuff. I don't know. I don't agree with that. Isn't something that has to grow on you. Wait, I don't. A masterpiece isn't something that has to grow on you. I feel the way. Well, no, masterpiece and classic are literally two different words that mean completely different things. I agree. A masterpiece isn't something that has to grow on you, but it's also subjective. So, like, there's lots of movies everyone loves that I shit on a lot. I feel the way I do now, the way I did when I first watched Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I didn't know you were into that one. She played Jasmine in the live-action Aladdin movie. I didn't even recognize her. Trap is absolutely stupid, yes. But again, I'm not judging you for enjoying it. Dan says, not everything has the benefit of charismatic star like in Ghoulish Tales. I don't even know what that is, Dan. Alright, let's move on from Star Wars. Alright, so this is the last one, and it's Trauma by Dario Argento. The last of the Argento movies that I've watched so far. And every review that I've watched after watching this movie the other day shits on it. As if this is like a totally stupid. I mean, yeah, there's parts that are kind of stupid, but this movie was fucking amazing. I don't know. Visually, it looks incredible. Like every scene is filled with like smoke, and the way the lighting is done, it's like um, peak '90s. And I watched one of the Vinegar Syndrome special features with the cinematographer, and yeah, he was talking a lot about how they used a bunch of really old school methods that are outdated now to do the lighting, and specifically the lightning during all the storm scenes, which I think really paid off. And all the fog within all the shots, and it really reminded me visually, not story wise, but visually, of Angel Heart, another movie that I really love. From, I believe that one's from the late '80s, I believe '87. Um, they just don't shoot movies like this anymore. I think I'm like more wrapped up in how it was shot than even the story itself. But um, yeah, like every scene. Why is Suspiria coming up in here? That's a cool poster. Look at that. I haven't seen that artwork yet. But yeah. So I think Phenomena is going to be my next Argento movie to watch. Whew. And then Piercing, as you guys recommended earlier. I have to add that to the top of my list. Hopefully it's available to live stream. Did you see Anne Hathaway pop star movie? Yeah, I think we talked about that on the last live stream. I think you were probably there. The live stream from last month. Drew, you said you heard good things about Trauma? Hell yeah, man. Like, it's not the best movie ever, but I think it's better. I enjoyed it more personally than. And people are going to kill me for saying this, but I enjoyed it more than Cat of Nine Tails. I enjoyed it more than Deep Red. I think I might have enjoyed it more than Tenebre, to be honest. But not as much as Opera. I love Opera. I think Opera is, outside of Suspiria, probably one of my favorite Argento movies so far. But again, before this month, I had only seen Suspiria. So I spent a lot of time this month binging Argento, as you guys have already seen through this live stream. Yeah. What's up, Manic? How you doing? Phenomena is a badass Argento movie. Hell yeah. I'm excited to see it. Because so far, even in my opinion, the Argento movies that I didn't enjoy as much as the others, I still can't say there's a bad movie so far in his filmography. But I haven't gotten to Phantom of the Opera yet. I haven't gotten to his Dracula movie yet, which I hear really horrible things about. Um, Dan says Trauma is really good. It's not among his best work, but it does deserve more love. Couldn't really get into Angel Heart, but definitely well done. Yeah, it's kind of an acquired. I wouldn't even say an acquired taste. I don't know. I'm a sucker for late '80s, early '90s movies that have a lot of rain, that have a lot of dreary sort of atmosphere, dark and mysterious atmosphere. Trauma and Angel Heart from the way they're filmed to the story itself are both similar in tone, I would say. Argento's Dracula and Giallo with Adrian Brody are his low points. It's funny that he literally made a movie called Giallo. That's interesting. Badass score too. Hell yeah. Yeah, the score in this movie, if you're talking about trauma, you might be referring to Phenomena, which you mentioned earlier, but opera is my favorite Argento. Hell yeah, man. We're on the same page with something. Even though I think I might like Suspiria more, but opera is right up there for me. Daria Nicolodi stole that final scene. What, in opera? Or, which one are we talking about? I can see you actually liking this fan of the opera, Hayden. Well, I'll definitely be giving it a shot, because I plan on watching all of his filmography, just so I can catch up and say that I have gone through it. Nicolodi doesn't get the credit she deserves, in my opinion. She's great. I don't know, because she was in, she was in Tenebre. This is based on the ones I've seen so far. Tenebre and opera. Is that it? I think out of the ones I covered tonight, which are the only ones I've seen from Argento, she was great. I don't know why she doesn't get more attention than... She brought a lot of chemistry to Deep Red, too. Oh, yeah, she was in Deep Red. Was she the... Who is she in Deep Red? Was she the detective lady? One thing I forgot to mention about Deep Red is that... Because I watched Deep Red first before any of the other Argento movies for the first time. And what really surprised me is the comedy. It was the first Argento movie that I'd seen that had a lot of comedy, which kind of bleeds into Bird with the Crystal Plumage a little bit as well. There's some good comedy in there with Sam and his girlfriend, and again, at that point I'd only watched Suspiria, so I didn't know how comedic Argento could be, really. I loved Nirvana, the band, the show. That was funny. Dude, I was so disappointed that never played, as to my knowledge, anywhere near me. And I really wanted to see that movie because I heard good things about it, Drew. Manic says opera is special. And Dan, it definitely is. I loved it. I definitely want to get that 4K now. Mostly because my Blu-ray of opera didn't have subtitles. Now, I don't always watch things with subtitles. I actually prefer not to, unless it's not in English. But if it's in English, normally I don't watch it with subtitles, but there were a few parts where some of the audio wasn't crystal clear in opera, and there was no subtitle option on my Blu-ray, and I don't know why. There's no way to get subtitles pulled up. So I'm assuming the 4K version would have subtitles, but yeah. Did you ever get the volume, that volume of Forgotten Jolly, or whichever you were missing? Yes, I finally did. So I was missing volume 1 for a while, and a couple months ago I finally found somebody selling it for, I think it was $100, which everything I had seen before then anywhere online was like 300, was like the average price for Forgotten Jolly Volume 1. So I finally have all of them now. Ironically, except for the newest one, which is still in print, I believe. I hope it is. I still need to buy it, the new one. But other than that, I have all of them now. So I can sleep soundly at night, finally. But yeah, thank you for asking. Yeah. I just have to actually sit down and watch them now. Because, I've probably only watched like 30% out of all. I mean, there's a lot. What are they on? Like 8 or 9 now? 3 movies in each one. That's a lot of movies. But I'm happy. Have you seen Stendhal? No, Dan brought that up earlier and said I'd really like it. It has a very cruel flavor to it. So does Opera too, though. Then I'll probably like it. I like some of the darker. I mean, I like a variety of flavors when it comes to horror. I like sometimes the lighter stuff, like Demon Knight was amazing. I love stuff like that you could almost argue is equally for kids and adults. I don't know if you really consider Demon Knight for kids, though, but you know what I mean. But I also like the really dark stuff, like Human Centipede 2, stuff like that. So, yeah. I've got a big Vinegar Syndrome order coming because I didn't realize Macabre was a pre-order when I added it to existing order. Well, that's something to look forward to. Stendhal is great, says Dan. And Manic says it's mean-spirited. A good one, though. And Drew says, I watch everything with subtitles. Otherwise, I'm just missing lots of dialogue. It's not a bad idea. I know a lot of people do that. Hell yeah, glad you got it. Thanks, man. Thoughts on Inferno? So yeah, Inferno was the last movie I talked about on my previous live stream from last month for the What I Watched in April. Yeah, April. And I'll just say, I think I loved it a lot more than any of the reviews I've watched. Because I get what people are talking about with Inferno having kind of a nonsensical plot or whatever, but there's still a plot. Like, people talk about Inferno as if there's absolutely no plot at all. And yeah, there's some plot holes, but overall there's still a coherent story, and the visuals in Inferno are so fucking amazing that I know it's a little bit of style over substance with Inferno, but still I was just absolutely captivated by pretty much everything visually within Inferno. Yeah, so I'm very happy with my experience with Inferno, yeah. I'm curious exactly what date Severin will do their sale. Didn't they just do a big sale? Maybe I'm wrong because I haven't been keeping up with all the sales lately. Because I've been trying to kind of avoid spending money on all these sales. But Human Centipede 2 rules. Love that movie. Hell yeah, man. I feel like me and you might be the only people to say that. But that's okay. Keith Emerson did the score to it and turned out excellent for Inferno. Oh, hell yeah. Human Centipede 2 is by far the best of the 3. Oh, yeah. I agree. I feel like Human Centipede 2 is both literally and, like, plot-wise, literally and figuratively what the first one wanted to be. You get what I'm saying? Since it is literally about a guy trying to recreate the first one, It's like a more fucked up version of the first one, but I think that's what makes it so creepy and so horrible. You know, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. The third one's just a comedy, which can be enjoyed for that aspect of it, but still. Yeah. Dan or Ben says, have to admit, I've not seen most of those Argento movies. Well, come join me and join the club of people that know nothing about Argento but are slowly trying to learn. I really went all out myself, obviously. Um, how many is it that I've seen now? Let me see. So, Trauma, Cat of Nine Tails, Bird, Crystal Plumage, Tenebre, Deep Red, Opera. I watched Inferno last month, so. And then you add in Suspiria, which I'd already seen. So I've seen 8. I've seen 8 total Argento movies now. 6 of which from last month. So I'm proud of myself because, I made a goal. I stuck to it. That I was going to watch as many Argento movies as I could. And I feel like I watched a lot more than even I expected. So it was a really fun month. And like I said, I don't think Argento, so far out of the 8 that I've watched, I don't think he has a bad movie. There are just some that I like personally more than others, and I do feel like my opinion differs a little bit from the general consensus. But that's okay. Yeah. Centipede 2 lost me at the sandpaper. It's definitely a hard to watch movie. Um, Actually, my son prefers Inferno over Suspiria. Well, your son's awesome. Hell yeah. And by the way, I discovered if anyone out there is into Giallo, give me a second. I found a new podcast where all they cover is Giallo movies. So if you're like me and you like to watch movies and then go listen to podcasts and movie reviews and people talking about the movies that you just watched, maybe I'm the only one that's like that nerdy about it, but hold on, I gotta spend a second trying to find them. Yeah, I'm not even subscribed yet, but I am now. Okay, so the the podcast, which you can find on like Spotify and stuff, is Jallo Chow Chow, where all they cover literally is Jallo movies. I guess they don't have a. They have way more episodes than they do video episodes. So I guess they don't do video episodes for all of them, but anyway, go check them out. Show them some love. Um, and then let me catch up with the chat, and then we'll get out of here for the night. Thank you guys for being here, though, as always. Oh shit! I can't figure out where the hell I am in the chat. So if I missed your comment, I'm sorry. Have you ever seen Burial Ground or Let Sleeping Corpses Lie? No. But I've heard a lot about Burial Ground. Let me write it down so I'll remember to look it up. Burial Ground and Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Thank you for the recommendations. I may not always get around to all the recommendations, but I always at least appreciate any recommendations from any of you guys. Do you get into any French exploitation like Jess Franco? So Yes and no. So I'm a huge Gaspar Noé fan, and I know he's technically like French exploitation. Most of his stuff, at least, like Irreversible. I've got a poster back there for Irreversible. Um, I love his movies. I didn't. I really haven't, to be honest, gone a lot further than Noé when it comes to French exploitation. But I do feel like yes, that is up my alley, though. But no, I haven't ever. I'm aware of Jess Franco, but I have not yet explored his filmography. I don't think I've knowingly. Pretty sure I've never knowingly watched a Jess Franco movie, but I probably need to change that. Give me any recommendations you have for French exploitation, though. Ben says I read a synopsis that said get pleasure. Wait, what? That's why Crash is my favorite Cronenberg. Dude, I still need to watch Crash. Dude, I bought it on the Criterion collection from Criterion, and still haven't watched it. I need to watch it. I can see it coming out from Unearthed Film someday. Shivers. I highly recommend both. Okay, Shivers. Gaspar Noé clears my top 10 easy. Oh yeah, dude. Um Climax is one of the like I think it's the only Noé film I've seen at the theater. I was able to avoid all trailers going into that, so I had no clue about the spiked punch, spoiler alert. So when that happened, I was like, "Oh shit." Like I was very surprised, and that whole movie was such a ride to watch at the theater. Um, I still need to watch Vortex. I haven't seen Vortex. Yeah, Gene Rollin too. Watch Demoniac. How do you say that? Hell yeah. Vampiros, Lesbos, and Female Vampire are good starts for Franco. Okay, hell yeah. Thank you guys. All right. Living Dead Girl. I just instantly I think of the Rob Zombie song, which is probably why when he made that song after or something. Living Dead Girl. Those are very good starts. Hell yeah. I love the way Climax fucks with me so much. Dude, me too. He's so good at creating a visual experience of being on drugs. Dude, yeah. I've I've never I've still never seen any filmmaker utilize like sweeping steady cam shots to cause disorientation and um what's the word? Well, disorientation in the way that he does. Yeah, it's just so crazy. Like I need to start throwing him out when people ask me who my favorite director is, because honestly, I think Gaspar Noé might be my favorite director. Like I love Tarantino. I love Soderbergh. I love, but those are just so cliche, just average choices. Um, and I don't think I've ever seen a Gaspar Noé film that I didn't love. So, yeah. He's so good at creating visual. Oh, wait, I already read that. Bastille did a good slasher a few years ago called Among the Living, too, that no one ever mentions. Okay. Hold on. Let me get a new piece of paper. Hell yeah. All right. But that's everything I watched this month or last month, sorry. Technically last month, May of 2026. A lot of Argento in there. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all the recommendations as well. And I will see you guys next month, if not earlier. This past month I didn't really have a chance to do any live streams or anything besides this monthly one. So it just depends on how busy I am. Like I've said, I'm giving 110% to trying to make a career out of the filmmaking thing, and luckily, to some degree, the work I've been putting in has really been paying off. I'm involved in a few short film projects coming up, and one of which that's completed and premiered already. So I'll hopefully be able to share that with you guys soon. And yeah, that's about it. But again, thank you guys for being here, and have a good night, everybody. Peace out.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.